Our next session is Rick Petry, Direct Marketing Insights Gleaned from 100 Columns. Please welcome Rick Petry, a Rick Petry creative writer.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? Thanks for being here. I know it's early. So when we started Electronic Retailer Magazine nearly 100 months ago, AOL was still relevant, Chechnya was blowing up, and where you're sitting right now is the Desert Inn. So a lot has changed in our world of direct marketing for sure, and what I'd like to do is share with you kind of what I've learned from having the challenge of putting together a monthly column, the last page of the magazine, for the last 100 months. First thing I want to tell you is I'm going to quote William Goldman, the famous screenwriter who wrote The Sting and Butch Cassidy and Princess Bride. What he said about Hollywood and their ability to predict box office success was nobody knows anything. And I'd suggest to you the same holds true in this industry. That's a little facetious, right? Nobody knows everything. That's what I will tell you. And if somebody that you meet at this conference, if you're new to this industry, says, "Oh, I know how to, I know everything," run. Because the fact of the matter is this is an industry that is in constant evolution and changing all the time. If it was as easy as following a formula, if it was as simple as, "Are you tired of blah, blah? You need the blah, blah," everyone would be successful and the failure rate in this industry would not be over 90%. So why is that the case? Because our greatest sin as an industry is we don't listen to our consumer. We don't do the fundamentals of marketing. What we do is we use direct response television to a large degree in place of consumer research. What am I talking about? Does your product have a unique selling proposition that truly resonates with the consumer? Is it differentiated, or is it a follower product? Too often what happens is you'll meet somebody more than happy to produce your commercial, whether you're spending $30,000, $50,000, or $100,000, and then on Monday morning they shrug. Well, the fact of the matter is that what you need to do is talk to the consumer. People have avoided doing consumer research to date because it's expensive. And the paradigm was, I'm going to go do a couple of focus groups, and I'm going to try and glean some decent qualitative insight. But the problem with focus groups is a couple things. One is, let's say you get 10 or 12 people in a room. If one of those people dominates the room, they could skew the insight that you glean. Secondly, it's expensive. And thirdly, you can't get good quantitative data. There are new models that are emerging. A lot of people are using online. I'm on the advisory board of a group called Hit Laboratories, where they could take anything from a sketch to a finished commercial and put it in front of 400 consumers who are isolated, not with a group in a room. And you could find out things like, does anybody care? What would they pay? Where do they expect to find it? And so I think we've got to move toward that because the current way of doing it is just not sustainable. Next, I'm going to talk about the fact that counterfeits are the new knockoffs. When we first started out, a decade and 20 years ago, somebody would have a successful product and then everybody else would come out and knock it off. So I can remember one product, for example, allowed you to deep fry an onion like you would get at the Outback Steakhouse. There were like 2 or 3 of these things on the air at the same time. Kind of crazy, right? That's no longer the case, and the reason why is that retail has become so paramount, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. There's really only shelf space for one, item, typically, and that's why you don't see that. But instead we have a whole new issue, which is people basically stealing the Marcom and setting up websites or stealing your reputation or diverting consumers. My latest column is about how you see these fake review sites. There's a very popular program right now, and if you Google them, you'll find, does it work? And what it really is it's a competitor trying to divert the consumer to them. And guess what? People like it on Facebook. forward it, tweet it. You've got this community aiding and abetting deception out there in the social networking world. So you've got to be really vigilant about that. Fact is, the power shifted forever. It used to be that the marker controlled the conversation. That is no longer the case, and it's never going back to the way it used to be. Think about when you buy a car now. Think about how much information you have at your fingertips to make an informed purchase decision. So what does that really mean? That means that we need to meet our consumer when and where they want to engage with us, whether we like it or not. I still think DRTV is incredibly relevant in the sense that as a hub that you can drive all the other spokes of an integrated marketing communications plan off of, it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly powerful because you have the luxury of time to tell a story, create product differentiation, and ultimately sell through at multiple channels. Meet your new regulators. You know, everyone talks about the Federal Trade Commission, and I hope they're here. You know, putting the hammer down. Recently, there was a situation, $185 million in consumer redress. There was another ad product, $25 million. What I'm suggesting to you is that really what's happening now is you better have a product that delivers on its promises, that can back up its claims. It's a great product. Of course, the obvious example that exemplifies this is P90X. The world is supporting P90X because it works. Is it easy to do? No, it's not. It's going to be tough. Not everybody can do it. But if you do it, you're going to get great results. And you've got a whole community of people out there evangelizing that message to their friends, creating YouTube videos, self-generated content of their transformations over the course of 90 days. So, you know, I think you're going to die a quick death if you're trying to hoodwink the consumer these days. And so I think that's actually a really good thing for the industry because it creates the ultimate Darwinistic situation. You know, we've got these reviews. You know, I know there are cases where a competitor might go on and flame you. But if you trust the process and you have enough critical mass, people are going to see, what's the world saying? Is this a good product? How many stars is it getting? And it goes on and on. Blogs, Facebook, you name it. You know, it's the old saying, word of mouth is the best advertising. That's hung around for a long time for a reason, because it's true. So maybe we do know a few things. One thing I can tell you that doesn't change is that scarcity mentality is universal. What do I mean? As soon as you tell somebody they can't have something, they want it. Here they are lined up outside of Best Buy, which of course is having a lot of problems. But if you think about this idea of scarcity mentality is exactly what fuels home shopping. Folks, you better call now because we're running out of product. And so what's happened is in infomercials, we've abused that. We've told consumers it's an exclusive TV offer when it's not. And they're smart. The latest Nielsen statistics suggest that over 80% of people that have a smartphone or a tablet are using it while they watch television. Look around your own living room. What's going on? I've got daughters 10 and 13. My wife gets so frustrated. Everyone's dinking around on a device. She wants it to be like the good old days where we were all focused like we were around the hearth. I say, honey, it's not happening. The train's left the station. So you better have your message on all these media dialed in, and you better make sure that you've got, key position and so forth. The other thing that's happening is obviously people are price shopping, so you have to really control your inventory and who's got it. I know in the case of Beachbody, they're monitoring Craigslist, eBay, gray market product, and so forth. As an industry, we've really gone from the fringe to prime time. It's interesting. We all sort of, nobody grows up saying, gosh, when I grow up, I want to be in the infomercial industry. Well, maybe today they do, but nobody from my generation did. But it's funny. When I talk to people and they say, what do you do? And I say, oh, yeah, I know Kevin Harrington, the guy on Shark Tank. Everybody has an idea for a product. I'd suggest to you that we're really the American dream personified in some ways. and that we've kind of gone from the back alley and being the cross-eyed stepchild to a really legitimate industry. The other thing is anyone can reinvent themselves in this industry. That's one of the things that's really cool about it. I mean, my God, if you go back and look at the documentary of Foreman fighting Ellie, I mean, that guy was not charming, not charismatic, not fuzzy, and he was bought out of his contract for the George Foreman Grill, a combination of cash and stock for something like $132 million, more money than he made from all of his boxing purses. That goes for us too here. Okay, now I'm scarring you for life here with this image. In this industry, if you've got the right attitude and acumen, you can turn yourself around and become anything. I'd like to suggest to you that really, we used to say, you know, there was direct response and there's general advertising. We are the new general advertising. We are really taking two huge advantages, longer links and cheaper media, to create awareness and drive it through multiple channels. And I'd also like to suggest to you that the revolution or the evolution has just begun. What's going to drive it is consumer behavior. There are things that we couldn't have imagined 10 years ago. Would we have thought of our smartphones as like an extension of our bodies, almost like an internal organ 10 years ago? Yet here we are running around with these little computers. So we've got to evolve, we've got to change, we've got to adapt, we've got to be smart. But you know what? I have a lot of faith in this industry. I have a lot of faith in all of you because I've seen what's happened in the 24 years that I've been in this industry. We will adapt and meet that consumer. And I'm very optimistic about the future, and I hope that you are too. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it.